If you're undertaking research on digital transformation for development, that's DX4D for short, then we'd like to offer 7 reflection questions that might help you. This checklist was developed on the basis of a literature review, presentation to an international development audience, and most especially, a revision workshop of 24 digital development researchers. Here's the first question. Does your research incorporate a definition of digital transformation for development, both the digital transformation element and the developmental transformation that is the goal of DX4D? Twofold logic here. The DX part, ensuring you and those who use your research know what you mean by digital transformation, and the 4D part, ensuring you and those who use your research know what transformative development goal is the focus. Question 2, is digital transformation for development understood in your research to be different from incremental digitally enabled change, creating significant systemic disruption that involves technological changes to digital data and systems, but also involves and requires broader parallel transformative changes in development processes, resource distributions, formal and informal institutions, and structural relations? The whole point of studying transformation is that digital transformation is different from ordinary digitalization. Think disruptive, think radical, think metamorphic. Digital transformation for development is not a faster caterpillar, but using digital to change the caterpillar into a butterfly. And think holistic. Transformation means changing not just digital systems, but wider institutions and structures. Question 3, does your research therefore recognise that the impact of digital transformation for development emerges not deterministically from technology alone, but from a mix of social and technological factors? If resource distributions and social institutions and social structures are changing alongside the technology, then a socio-technical model of change will be required. The cause of any development impact cannot be put down simply to the introduction of new technology, but also derives from those broader parallel social changes. Question 4. Is there recognition in your research that there are both positive and negative impacts associated with DX4D? Any digital enabled change, including digital transformation, is not simply a good thing. There can also be downsides. For example, digital transformation has been associated with rising inequality, with job losses, with new technological dependencies. Is that acknowledged in your research? Question 5. Is the focus for your research the micro-level proactive actions of individuals within organisations, digital transformation for development, and/or the macro-level societal changes, digital transformation of development, that derive from and shape micro-level actions? This obviously depends on the level or scale of focus in your research. Are you an organisational level researcher, in which case you're looking at DX4D projects, or do you investigate the societal level changes that we could call DX4D, or do you look at the connections between the two levels? Question 6. If your research discusses implementation drivers, barriers, processes, etc., does it move beyond traditional ICT4D research to take into account the specific scope, duration, disruption, and other features of digital transformation for development? DX4D is not the same as ICT4D. Take barriers. Yes, digital transformation can face typical ICT4D barriers, the constraints in digital infrastructure or in human capabilities or in leadership and so on. But it also faces unique barriers due to the extent and nature of transformational change. For example, given that it involves changing structures, then DX4D faces structural barriers to change. And the challenge may not be a lack of leadership generally, but a lack of transformative leadership that can motivate and direct transformational change. Final question. If your research provides practical DX4D recommendations, do these cover not just the content of organisational strategy or government policy, but also details of the processes and the structures through which that strategy or policy will be implemented. In other words, if you're making recommendations, are you including not just the what of what should be done differently, but also the how that discusses the implementation processes for transformational change and the organisational or other structures through which that change will be brought about. This slide acknowledges all those who helped to co-develop the checklist. We hope you found the questions useful. If you'd like to dig a bit deeper, then please take a look at this working paper, which provided the principles on which the checklist is based, which reviews literature on DX4D, and which develops from that a four-part future research agenda.